Hello, I am Chetan Bhagat and welcome to Manufacturing Excellence, a pioneering feature series on India's manufacturing sector. In partnership with GE, in this two-part series, we will unveil the story of India's manufacturing sector, how it has evolved over decades and how it promises to emerge as one of the brightest jewels of the Indian economy. So let's take a look at how India's manufacturing sector is poised to make its mark on the world stage.
आज अगर हमें नौजवानों को ज्यादा से ज्यादा रोजगार देना है तो हमें मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर को बढ़ावा देना पड़ेगा और इसके लिए हिंदुस्तान की भी पूरी ताकत लगे लेकिन विश्व की शक्तियों को भी हम समर्थन देते हैं और इसलिए मैं आज लाल किले की प्राचीर से विश्व भर में लोगों से कहना चाहता हूं कम मेक इन इंडिया.
So I think the Make in India campaign launched by the Prime Minister is a very welcome initiative. I was fortunate to be present when the Prime Minister kind of announced the initiative.
The Prime Minister's vision, I think he articulated very clearly. And it's a very ambitious program. It's a program which at the same time is something that's eminently doable.
It's a fantastic initiative, really. And as manufacturing and people who spend their entire life in manufacturing, it's extremely motivating.
I'm very pleased and excited with the campaign that the new government has put in place for Make in India.
I have to say that this is one of the best things that has ever happened to our country.
Everybody is very much energized with this Prime Minister's call of Making in India.
We are really happy that the government is giving this kind of emphasis now on this Make in India campaign.
We are very glad that the government has rolled out the Make in India campaign and we stand by to support this initiative.
More than 2 decades after India threw open its markets to the world has now finally come to India. But things have not always been this good. India's manufacturing story before the abolition of the license Raj was one of stifling regulations, bureaucratic red tape and absolute government control. An uncertain manufacturing environment led to reduced private initiatives and consequently sluggish industrial growth.
For many years, Indian manufacturing industry had a business model which, was something like this. You had low technology because access to technology was difficult, cost of getting technology was difficult, and everything was licensed and regulated. Ability to invest capital was limited because people didn't have the kind of money they have today. Interest rates were high, 18% to 20%. Only thing that was cheap at that time and in abundance was manpower.
In the early 90s, the Indian economy was finally liberalized. And for India, the world became smaller. Yet, it looked far bigger than it had ever known. India's manufacturing captains started thinking afresh in their quest to make it big. And the Indian manufacturing phoenix was ready to rise from the ashes left behind by the abolition of the license Raj.
I think clearly once the economy liberalized, we realized that we could bring many of our products and offer them to the marketplace. And maybe if I take a step back, first innovate products for the marketplace and then go and sell them out into the marketplace. So we've got a number of examples in the healthcare space where we innovated, designed the product here, then made it and are selling it. So I think we've got a whole range of products that are out there. And there are other examples, for example, in our water business, lighting business and so on as well, where because of the liberalization, we can access the market directly, assess demand, design products and then go out and sell.
The 90s was a trying period because we had huge downturns in the domestic market, huge investments that we had made, a big learning curve. But we got over all that and became very successful in exporting products, very competitive and very successful. And then we said, how do we make this much bigger? So we went and bought companies in Germany. We bought our first company in 2003. And we made very quickly a success out of it. And that created a huge amount of trust between us as a company, India as a country, and customers in Germany.
The Indian manufacturing story has since focused on self-reliance coupled with industrial policy reforms to achieve accelerating growth. The country's renewed push into manufacturing has also been possible because of factors such as an experienced workforce, a large pool of scientists, engineers and managers, reasonable endowment of natural resources, and a large domestic market.
During the last 2 decades, the Indian manufacturing has really taken a big leap forward. You have to look around yourself, at least in the automotive space. I see there are now a lot of examples of companies who have challenged the Demings Award, and which is reflective of their practices and their manufacturing and their technology at the very top.
Multiple policy reforms through the decades, culminating in the 2011 National Manufacturing Policy, have set India on a path towards manufacturing excellence. And by aiming to enhance the share of manufacturing in GDP to 25% within a decade, the government has put the spotlight firmly on manufacturing. But many stumbling blocks still remain.
I was very encouraged when I saw the policy and very disappointed that we didn't follow through and bring the manufacturing to where it could have been after 3 or 4 years of hard work. So we have in some sense lost 3 years, 4 years, and we need to do catching up.
There are two sides which we have to look at. One, clear up a lot of undergrowth which has come in, which actually is becoming the hurdle in small and big regulatory kind of rules which have come in over the period. And that is not just 5 years, over the decades. So first thing first, we want to remove the undergrowth and facilitate. Simultaneously, I will take it to the other side of the coin, where this Make in India campaign is not so much for just get the investment to make in India, but simultaneously and more importantly, understand that it is a mindset change that we have to bring in. Government will now have to be very clearly understanding its role and playing the role of a facilitator rather than a regulator. And we want to be sure that that change in the mindset gets reflected in every one of the change that we want to bring, withdrawing or bringing in newer acts, or even fine-tuning the rules with which certain laws are being implemented.
The major policies that the government is hoping to streamline in the near future are those relating to labor, regulatory framework, and tax. Repealing and removing outdated laws has been the new government's major focus.
If you look at the labor regulatory framework, we have about 44 laws of the central government and a few more from the states, most of them originating in the first half of the last century. Now, if we were to repeal all these 44 labor laws, create a modern 21st century law, fully compliant with our ILO obligations, we would succeed in reducing the transaction cost and the regulatory burden on small enterprises. That would be transformative in nature.
The government's role needs to be to make the right kind of policy and get out of the way, but be available only as a safety net. And when I'm saying the right kind of policy, our policies are rules, regulations right now, which are currently in currency in India, are mostly those which were designed in British times by a small minority trying to run a country which was against them. They are based on mistrust, which is absolutely wrong. You cannot mistrust your own people.
With GST proposed to be introduced in April 2016, policy reform is gradually becoming the cornerstone on which the current national government is building its Make in India campaign. So Make in India is the government's new mantra that aims to initiate wide-ranging policy reforms. We will analyze all this and more on the other side of a small break. Keep watching ET Now. Welcome back to this special series. To project India as a global manufacturing giant, providing infrastructure is absolutely critical. Infrastructure is intrinsically linked to manufacturing, and the latter cannot exist without the former. But how does India fare in the current scenario? Let's find out. Manufacturing competitiveness is a direct function of reliable infrastructure, and the new government has its work cut out to provide this backbone to the companies. Industrial parks, multi-lane industrial corridors, and port-led development will need to power India's manufacturing march, while also keeping environmental concerns to a minimum.
Government actions as facilitator must make manufacturing more and more competitive, so that compared to other countries in the world where investors have an option of investing, we become as competitive, if not more competitive.
In terms of infrastructure and manufacturing hubs, the answer is not to the level that we should be, although many good things have happened over the last 5 years is my sense, or last 10 years I would say. Clearly, transportation itself is a big bottleneck. How do we evacuate things from this country which are manufactured without damaging them and quickly? How do we import things where we require without time delays, which is an issue? So that is one big delta, one big area that the country has to move forward with.
We need ports and custom clearance that must work 24/7, 365 days a year. We also have that freight rates, even to Africa or the Middle East, are disproportionately high vis-a-vis the distance. And that really is the reason for that, is that shipping lines find the turnaround time at ports to be high, so it's inefficient, and therefore the freight rates are high, which does not give us the advantage of having a geographically closed destination. So I think if some of these things are done, we can move a long way in facilitating exports through the EOUs and the SEZs.
Formation of national investment and manufacturing zones has been mooted, keeping the above in mind, benchmarked with the best manufacturing hubs in the world. This is a major attraction for many manufacturing giants who have set up their manufacturing plants in India. Coupled with investment by numerous large and medium Indian companies, the landscape is literally being transformed through the formation of next-gen manufacturing hubs across the country.
As far as manufacturing hubs, there are natural hubs which have got created. The area around Chennai is well known for its auto hub, so to speak. Pune is also emerging as a big manufacturing hub. Delhi and Gurgaon, to a certain extent around that area, there is a fairly strong push, especially with auto. So those are some of the areas and some of the hubs that we have.
It is these hubs that are propelling Indian manufacturing to world-class quality. Today, the sector is gradually getting recognized for producing high-value goods that require engineering precision and technology. From chemicals, pharmaceuticals, food processing, automobiles, consumer durables to engineering products, major global and Indian players are eager to harness all the technology potential that the country has to offer.
We see tremendous potential in this country, not only to be a low-cost manufacturing hub, but also to be a center for high technology, high value-added manufacturing in the long run. India as a country has strength not only in numbers, but also has other great strengths when it comes to better education, better skill sets, a highly entrepreneurial spirit, the cultural alignment, and the right mindset to advance technologically and economically.
But integrating academic research and industrial innovation is a big concern that all stakeholders need to address sooner rather than later. Collaborative research between industry, academia and government research organizations is something that the government needs to expedite immediately.
We spend too little on R&D. As a nation and from industry, we have very, I'll say, fragmented linkages with the university. We do not create national, I would say, innovation programs or technology development programs. We are filing too few patents. More patents are being filed by MNCs, R&D organizations in India than Indian organizations themselves. So we need to change that. So these would be my overall, if I were to look at this, would be my overall agenda to make the Make in India really successful over the longer term.
The Internet of Things is dramatically changing how factories function, and no sector is more impacted by this than manufacturing. Automation, industrial internet and big data are unleashing a torrent of information that companies are harnessing to make factories cleaner, better and more efficient. And India is fast catching up to this potentially massive new trend, given the country's resident expertise in the IT/ITES sector.
The use of automation, industrial internet and big data is a tremendous enabler. It is absolutely necessary. So if you look at simply end-to-end between a quotation and the cash given back to the supplier, that entire part is led by the industrial internet. So you're linked in directly with your suppliers, and that makes it much easier. So the supplier banker organization are all linked in together. When you look at big data, it helps you translate consumer requirements very, very quickly, and therefore one can refine one's marketing program, product refinement, all of that extremely quickly by the transfer and use of big data.
The amount of data that now comes out from machines in terms of information is humongous. And I think if we can just analyze that data, make some intelligent choices coming out of the data, I think we can improve efficiency in a dramatic manner. And if we can even improve 1% efficiency, let's say, in all the aircrafts that are flying around the world, or all the diesel locos that are moving around the world, or all the gas turbines that are moving around the world, these are huge numbers in terms of saving of fuel and thereby money. So I think the implications of crunching data, analyzing data, and improving efficiency, the benefits are tremendous.
This is going to be an, I would say, turmoil in the industrial manufacturing companies. When we talk the buzzwords, billion factories, analytics, digitization, advanced manufacturing, this is no more a buzzword, but this is being practiced very strongly in our GE facilities worldwide. And we are also deploying some of these techniques very effectively in our MMF facility, which is a greenfield factory in Pune.
With proven multi-million-dollar savings through the use of big data, companies are quickly integrating these advanced analytics in their facilities. With an aim to create 100 million jobs by 2022, the government's task is cut out. But are they skilling India's youth fast enough to keep up with this target? We'll find out on the other side of this break. Keep watching Manufacturing Excellence on ET Now. India has many advantages when it comes to manufacturing, chief among them being a large and youthful working population. But are we in danger of missing out on this great demographic dividend? Let's find out. India's favorable demographic profile is becoming a magnet for manufacturing investment. With over 60% of population in the age group of 15 to 59 years, the country is ready to provide a large working class population to the industry. Harnessing this demographic dividend has become the #1 priority for the government.
We've been given a target to actually skill 150 million people. This year, looking at training around 33 lakh people in the skill space, a significant amount. We hope to focus in the sectors of automotive, gems and jewelry, leather, rubber, healthcare technology space, and in the space of the capital goods, or what you call as machinery. And we hope to contribute to the need of skilled persons in this sector.
For a country with the largest young population in the world, the skill development challenge is a significant one. Over the next decade, India needs to create around 220 million jobs to reap its demographic dividend. The manufacturing sector will be the backbone of this employment creation initiative, and companies are partnering actively with the government to achieve this towering objective.
Developing skills to meet the objective of a value-added manufacturing base is extremely crucial. And we as GE are working along with the National Skill Development Council particularly in the area of healthcare and healthcare diagnostic equipment, to actually make it happen. But more importantly, I think it's the supply chain, the medium and small scale industry, where the influx of skills, etc., is even more crucial. That is where bulk of the jobs will be created, bulk of the investment will be made, and companies like ours can make sure that that happens on scale.
One of the biggest things that we've done on our plant floor is set up what we call dexterity schools. And each plant will have dexterity school, which ensures that all new persons coming on the line get trained before they go on the line, and also there is a sort of repeat training that keeps happening for everybody after a certain period of time to come back to the dexterity school and do that. In addition to that, we have done work with some ITIs, helped develop the curriculum and improve their fit with what the industry needs as soon as the ITI graduates come out.
There seems to be a kind of an interest of private sector to set up skill development organizations and train people. What is interesting is over the last few months, NSDC is receiving proposals from industry partners who want to partner in NSDC, but may not necessarily require finances, upfront. So we are seeing such type of proposals coming from large business houses in India going forward.
India already has a vast pool of experienced workers that manufacturing majors are benefiting from currently. And the manufacturing majors, in turn, are integrating their world-class standards in India's work ethic DNA. From scientists and engineers to managers and industry experts, the skilled workforce of the country is on a high like never before. And the good times are all set to keep rolling.
One thing great about JCB is that all plants all over the world subscribe to the JCB production system. So they are very similar in terms of processes, they are similar in terms of equipment, they are similar in terms of skills, and they have the same look and feel. So it's not that there's a distinction between a developed and a developing economy.
With the setting up of the Pune factory in 2009, we brought in state-of-the-art highest capability manufacturing, world-class manufacturing into this country. Not only did we stop there, we also have developed in the last 5 years a very healthy supply base. We enabled the Indian suppliers to develop their capabilities to meet our world-class requirements. So we are proud of it, and we believe we have done a very valuable contribution to the industry.
We are trying to align the different state skill missions, the education system, and the training done by, let's say, the ITIs and under the Ministry of Labour and Employment, and give them the opportunity to map what they're doing with the standards that have been set up by industry, so that they could either look at supplementing the training that they're doing or adapting the training that they're doing to enable that the people coming out of the system are employable by industry. And also, we are looking at promoting apprenticeships in a large manner. We have tied up, there is a MOU between the TeamLease, the Confederation of Indian Industry, CII, and NSDC to get people to take up apprenticeships in a whole host of countries, and we hope to do about 200,000 in the next over the next 2 years.
With the new Prime Minister's renewed push into the sector through the initiation of the Make in India campaign, the time is ripe for manufacturing companies around the world to seize the opportunity. With a recent Deloitte report ranking India 4th worldwide in terms of manufacturing competitiveness perception, the world is indeed lining up to Make in India now. That brings us to the end of the first episode of our documentary series. In the next episode, we'll take a deeper look at the companies that are already making it in India. Stay tuned to ET Now. This is Chetan Bhagat signing off. See you next time.